Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to Breakfast with Sergio. I'm super happy because today with me I have Laurence de Valmy. She's going to give us 5 amazing tips that are going to help you write the perfect press release for your art career, for your shows, for anything that has to do with your art. Don't go anywhere. It's going to be awesome. Well, hi, Laurence. Good to see you. How are you?
Hello, fine. Good, always good to see you.
Always excited to connect with you as well. We chat quite a bit through social media on Instagram, and always know what you're doing, and vice versa. And it's always great to run into your projects. Last one I saw was in Miami during Art Basel. I had to see your work there, so that was really cool. And
Yes.
well, today we're gonna talk about, and we're gonna help our friends with their press releases, which is something that every artist at some point has to work with in order to promote our projects or events or new ideas. And I think writing an effective press release is key in order to get visibility, right? To be seen, to be remembered, to get our work out there, and to get the right people, to find the things that we are doing. Because sometimes it feels like we're just talking to the wind and nobody's listening. So we gotta be
Exactly.
effective, and you're gonna help us with that, Laurence. So before we talk into that, really quickly, for our friends who do not know you, the 5 people that are here that has no idea who Laurence is, tell them a little bit about your work.
So I'm an artist, mostly painter, but I do also some digital and now NFTs. And
Yes.
so I'm exploring new things. And my work connects art history and social media. So that's mostly what it's about.
Awesome. And you have a really amazing collection of paintings, of social media posts as if they were made by famous artists of history. And also you've recently been doing that with TikTok. Like if,
Yes,
Van Gogh had a TikTok page, what he would do, right? And or
exactly.
Georgia Keefe, she had a TikTok page, what she would do. And that is really cool to see. And now, some of those also getting into NFTs, which is really great. And so a lot of the work that you do in order to get the word out on the many projects that you create, you have to write a press release. So tell me a little bit about, how did you kind of get good at writing a good press release?
So I Googled, how to do it. And then I learned by doing it and by also receiving some press release because I also have a blog, which is the Curious Frenchie. So it's also a good way to learn to see how other people do it. And I realized that sometimes some artists were contacting me for my blog, and they would send me an invitation and ask me to write an article. But an invitation is not a press release. So I realized that not everybody was totally aware of what the content should be.
Excellent. And
So,
today we're going to help our friends with 5 amazing things that they can start using right now in their press releases. And this is something really exciting too, because through my coaching program, I have seen artists who sometimes they just say, well, I'm just gonna do I always say, you gotta write a press release. They sign the press release, they send it out, and all of a sudden, boom, they get, a magazine cover or a TV interview or something like totally unexpected. And that is the power of, putting good words
mhm.
and saying you're, talking about your projects with clarity. So you're going to help us with that. So what is the first one that you want to share with us today, Lawrence?
So I would say that the first one, and it's probably some stuff you cover in your coaching session, is know what your story is about. Because of course, your artist statement has to be very clear, and that seems obvious, but it has to be also fairly simply said. So know what you want to share, and in a way that will add value to the people who can be susceptible to write.
I
So
love that.
that would be, it's of course the content that has to be there. Sometimes you have a show, and sometimes, so that makes it like an event, but sometimes it may be just because you have a new body of work that you want to talk about.
Mhm.
So of course you have to and write differently depending on that.
Mhm.
So first thing, the story has to be clear,
Has to be nailed
crystal
down.
clear.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that is very different from your art statement. Do not put your art statement as your story, right? It's two
Yes.
completely different things. It has to be
Mhm.
understood by most people, right?
Yes,
Excellent. I love
exactly.
that. Hmm.
So, and then you have to adapt the standard of the market. So, use the format that is used by journalists. So, it's fairly standardized, and you have to, follow some rules, have a great catchy title, So
That's a
that
good
would
one.
be the second tip. That is not too long, and it's not just exhibition of blah 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 in New York, because that doesn't appeal. I mean, the journalists, they receive tons of press releases. So what does your exhibition is about? Like, what does it add? So try to see also if it can be linked to current events and something that can be catching the eye of the person who will receive the press release.
Exactly. I loved it. I loved it. So the press release title shouldn't be press release itself.
Oh.
That doesn't get anybody excited, right?
Exactly.
That's a great.
So, yeah. So then the first paragraph is very standardized. It has to address the who, what, when, where, and why, like the key points that will make the journalist look into it. Like, oh, does it bring value to my audience? Do I want to spend time on that to write something about it? So that must be in a few phrases, and then the journalists, they can almost copy paste and then readapt the content to create their own article. So first paragraph, and then you develop in the next paragraphs to give value to the person who reads the press release. It has to be between 300 and 500 words, not too long, not too short, to give some content, but not too much. So that would be the way to go. And in the next few paragraphs, you can develop and add quotes, for example. So you have to what you have to understand is make the life of the journalist easy, because they are very busy. They have lots of people coming to them, and it has to be fluid.
Right. And that is a great point, because also, so you have the voice of the artist in a way, in the quote that you included with your own voice, how you would answer to a question that the journalist may be asking. And it also, sometimes that also gives the opportunity for them, if they want further information, they want to get more, then they can contact you and expand on that quote, and kind of continue that conversation. But it's kind of like you're already answering one question that in this case, the person writing the article may already have. And that again, makes their life easier, and also may also be a hook for them to say, okay, I really want to get to know more about this artist.
Yes. So then you have to also you mustn't sound like an advertising or advertisement. I don't know how should I say it, but it has to be more like if you write the article yourself. Like, if let's say, what would I write if I'm a journalist? And that makes it appealing to the person who will read the press release. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And it's really not an invitation. It has to have more content, because the person needs the content.
Right.
So once you're done with the content, I would say, of course, at the end of the press release, you add more information, your contact information. Other thing to keep in mind is to add links with photos, because if they want to write about you, they won't have much time. So everything must be very easy for them to collect the information. So usually I include a Google Drive link, and with lots of photos, and people can pick.
Right. And did you send the press release as a PDF attached, or just actually write it in the body of the email that you sent?
So I do both, because after receiving a press release from professional, I realized they do both. So to include the text in the body of the email, which makes it easy to read, you don't have to click on anything. And then you can include a PDF if you want to, with the layout. But I would say that, as myself, a blogger, I prefer when the content is in the email.
Excellent. Yeah, it's easier to get it right there, right? But everybody may have different preferences, and I think having either a Google Drive or the Dropbox folder for all the elements, part of the press release, makes it a lot easier for the press. A lot of times, maybe somebody, the editor, might read the email, but he or she may not be the one writing the article, so but then it can forward it to somebody else with an easy link to download all the materials, which is really
Yeah.
fun, really great, awesome, excellent.
So I think we get to four. I didn't follow
Something like that.
exactly, but
We're not counting.
then a big part of the success in the press release is to send it to the right people, because once you've done your work, then you have to share the word, and that's probably a big chunk of the work, because it's rely on collecting contacts, networking, and I think it's better to target less people, but to create relationships than to address a press release to thousands of email randomly that you don't know who's behind. Right. So as a personal experience, what worked fairly well for me is to connect with our journalists after reading pieces they've made, and that were relevant with my work. So then I know that they might be susceptible to like my work. Right. So if you are, for example, working about environmental issues, you might want to address press that address this issue, or blogs, and so on. So it's, I think, important to target the people who could be interested.
Yeah, I love that one. Yeah, because a lot of times that's kind of, I think, for a lot of artists, the hardest part too, right? Maybe, once they have the press, like, okay, who do I send it to, right? Yes. Who should I send it? And something I found over the years, also doing tons of press releases from my gallery, is that contacts in the media change too, so you had to keep up with those people. Change out. Somebody who used to write for a particular publication now is in another one, and so that email now it's no longer active, so I need to research, okay, what is the updated one, right? Where did this person go, particularly if it was a person that was a good contact for you. So yeah, it takes time to kind of keep that list up to date, fresh, and ready to roll out. Yeah,
so LinkedIn has been useful for me for that purpose. And you have to follow up. So if you send an email to a person that the email is correct, and you sometimes it took me 6 months with someone before they wrote something about me. So I follow up once on the same press release. And if they didn't react, maybe, I have another show. Maybe I'm going to contact them again with that new piece, and maybe invite them to the show. They're in the same city, and so on. So it's about building relationships too, which I understand is time consuming, but you can start with, blogs that are maybe less solicited, then maybe you won't go and try to reach New York Times,
exactly, right. You never hear back, perhaps.
Yes.
Absolutely. No, I think those are really great points, Laurence. Thank you for that, kind of sharing those with us. Again, writing press releases is something that sometimes we forget about. We think that everything is just email and social media, but there's a lot of value really on getting press for us as artists on the projects that we do, and I think that's super important, not to forget. And even for online exhibitions and online events, a lot of times we think, well, that's only for a solo show. No, not necessarily. A lot of artists have gotten really great press for an online exhibition or an online project, especially now after the pandemic, where online events have become part of our programming that we all are creating in the art world, and artists are part of. So it makes total sense. If you have an online event, create also a press release, send it out, get the word out, and slowly doing that kind of work.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, Laurence, another part that I would like to also share is that not only you are awesome at creating press releases, I get some of your press releases too, and also you have really mastered this art of writing a good press release that catches the viewer's attention, and the press people too. And you're also helping artists with this, so you have also helped a lot of artists with their questions, or helping them really put together a really awesome successful press release. So how, or friends, if somebody would like to get your help, work with you on this, how can they find you, connect with you as well?
Well, the best way is to contact me through email. So my email is ldevalmy@gmail.com. It's available on my website. You can, of course, which is laurencedevalmy.com, simple. And you can also contact me on Instagram. DM is works perfectly. So it's same Laurence de Valmy on
Excellent.
Instagram.
Excellent. And we have your actually your Instagram name right under the video. And for our friends who are listening to the podcast, I will make sure to include a link to your website in the description of this episode.
Great.
So thank you so much, Lawrence, for helping us out with our press releases. I actually,
Thank
that
you.
reminds me, I got to write a press release in a couple of days. So I will keep in mind all these tips as well. And that is awesome. So thank you, my friends, for watching or listening to the podcast. Do us a big, huge favor. Well, first, make sure that you follow Laurence. Not only she's great with press releases, but she's an amazing artist. So you gotta see what she's doing. And also do us a big favor and click on the share button. Click share if you're watching this on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. If you're in the podcast, send this to another friend. If you're on social media watching right now, as Breakfast with Sergio, you can also click that share button so that more artists can get help with the press releases and become more effective in the way we communicate, what we do in the studio as we bring it out to the world. So thank you, Lawrence. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.